Good morning. Hello, friends. Welcome to the second week's Q&A for Energy Alchemy, the Basics. I've got some really good questions that came through from the survey that I sent out last week. So buckle up and enjoy the next few minutes as we gather together to answer some really good questions about energy alchemy in general. So for those of you that I have not yet met before, and to those of you who have joined the program within the last week, welcome. My name is Arianna. It's so wonderful to have you here. I am incredibly honored to be part of this journey of yours. And whether this is your first time understanding or getting to know your own energy, or you're a veteran at this and you're simply looking for some more information on it, this is going to be a really beautiful way for you to anchor into your own sense of self. So thank you for trusting me and this work. And as always, if you have any questions along the way, you can either post them in the forum, which is the teachable comment box next to each session, or of course, you can message me on Instagram. You know that. Okay, so the first question was how to remain focused and stay on the right path. How to remain focused and stay on the right path. Okay, so, I think the part of this question that really throws me is the right path. And I just want to make sure that we're very clear that the right path looks very different for all of us, because we each are so individual and we experience life differently. And what's right for one is not right for the other. And so looking outside of ourselves and seeing what everybody else is doing and considering that that is our path, or that's what we should be doing, is where things can get a bit tricky. And that actually can knock us off our path. So with that being said, let's assume that this question is really about my right path, my actual path, the path that I am meant from a soul perspective to be walking. And I think that this is a very deep and layered question, because paradoxically, we have been told that we need to stay focused and we need to be single-pointed focused, and we need to make sure that we are always doing the things that we're meant to be doing in order to get to the place that we need to be going. And I think that this can trip us up, because when we veer off this path, or whatever we perceive the path to be, it trips us up to such an extent that it's very difficult for us to get back on the path. So remaining focused for me these days looks like ritual. It looks like ritual every day, regardless of how I feel. And it looks like ritual not because if I don't do it, then I'm going to be a bad person, or I'm not going to get to where I need to go, but because I find so much joy and groundedness in ritual. So let me color that in for you a little bit. Ritual for me looks different daily, but there's always the following aspects that are included in ritual. There is a stillness practice, and that may look like me sitting on this couch, looking out my window and allowing myself to enjoy the trees blowing in the wind, and really just allowing whatever I see in nature to almost, bring itself towards my physical body. Yeah, so I'm really allowing nature to come to me. It may look like me lying in my bed, closing my eyes before I get out of bed and counting my blessings and sitting in gratitude for what I have, and then praying or meditating or asking for guidance as I move through my day. It may look like me getting up at 4 a.m. and meditating for an hour. And so I wanted to put those two things right next to one another to show and to say that they're extremes and that either of those things are perfect. And there is no good or bad way or right or wrong way, but there is nevertheless a way each day that I sit in stillness and contemplation. The other ritual that I have every day is to move my body. So whether that's a walk, a yoga practice, a stretch, whatever that looks like, there's movement every day. There is an energy healing practice in my day, every day. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 21 minutes. So you get the drift here. There's just ritual every day that helps me remember why I am pursuing the path, the spiritual path, or the path towards enlightenment. There are things in my day that help me ground and center, that regardless of me reaching enlightenment, regardless of me being on the path, the ritual in itself is so rich and it's so beautiful that I'm going to do it anyway. So there's no attachment to what it's going to bring. It's simply the joy and how I relish being in my ritual. Okay. And then, of course, staying on the right path can be, maybe you want to achieve a certain state of being and you want to sink into a particular ritual for an extended amount of time. And sometimes it can get quite tricky to show up consistently. And I shared this with a client of mine the other day, and she found it really helpful, and I think you may too, is that there are days where I wake up and I don't want to get on my yoga mat. I don't want to go and meditate. I don't want to do any of those things because I'm human, and I'm pretty sure you have those days too, where you're just like, just don't feel like it. And so I play this little game with myself, which I know I'm playing it, but yet it works. So I'm just going to play out a scenario here. Let's say I wake up and I'm lying in bed and I'm counting my blessings. And I'm like, okay, I have to go and put my yoga gear on so that I can get on my mat. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it. Okay, well, I'm not going to commit to getting on my mat, but I'm going to commit to getting into my yoga gear because then I'm ready. Okay, so then I get up and put my yoga bra on and my yoga pants and I'm ready. And then once I've done that, in the back of my mind, I know that I'm going to, at some stage, want to move my body. And I know that the goal in this case is to get on the mat. But there are a lot of little things that happen before I get on my mat. And so I just play that game of like, okay, well, I'll just go and boil the kettle for my warm lemon water. I'll just light my candles. I mean, if, no commitment kind of thing, if I don't feel like jumping on my mat after that, then that's fine. But by taking these small little steps, just lighting the candles, just rolling out the mat, just putting the blocks down, I'll just choose a mantra to sing or a practice to practice or a chant to chant, like I think we can get really hard on ourselves. And I think that we can be quite strict. We're like, I've got to do this and then I have to do that. And it's like all these got tos and have tos and shoulds. And And if we can just soften a little bit and play, you know, I'm just going to, I'm not even going to do my yoga practice. I'm just going to sit on my mat. And I'm just going to go into child's pose. I kind of trick myself all the way into practicing. And here's the thing is that sometimes I'll wake up and I'll think to myself, you know what, today's actually not a yoga practice day. And that feeling, the feeling that I have when I say that to myself, isn't edgy or antsy or guilty. It just is. And when that happens, I know that that particular day is not a yoga practice day. And I don't even question it, because maybe that's not the ritual that needs to happen for that day. In fact, that happened this morning. So I did the just get up, right? I just do this, just do that, just do this, just do that. And I got all the way to the point of being dressed. And I was going to do the rolling up the yoga mat thing. And I thought, you know what, today is actually not the day. And if I am going to do it, it's going to be later on, because there's things that I need to do this morning that I really want to do as my ritual rather. You know, I did some saging, I did some reading of some texts, I did some journaling. That was what grounded me today. That's what made me feel really beautiful and soft and centered. So I wanted to give you all of those examples, because staying on the right path looks different to each of us, but it also looks different each day. And in our day and age, I think we can get so strict on ourselves, and we're so disciplined, which in a way is so good, because discipline allows us the freedom to experience so many other expansions. But there's a very sweet dance that we play, or that we dance, between discipline and play, allowing and committing, devotion and presence. You know, really understanding what that looks like in our lives, and really getting to the point where we can not even let ourselves off the hook, but feel into what we need each day, and then give ourselves whatever that is. Okay. I hope that that is an answer that you can work with. I got another question that is not really my expertise. And the question was, can you please speak to the influence that astrology has on our lives? Now, I'm not an astrologer, and I'm only just coming to terms with what my own chart looks like and what it means for me. So I don't want to disregard the question, and I want to give it airtime, but I also want to say that this is not really my jam. So with that being said, I'm going to point you in the direction of some people that I follow and people that I revere in this particular realm that maybe you can follow as well on Instagram, or subscribe to their newsletter list and learn a little bit about astrology. I am going to answer this question very personally, and say that for me, I like understanding astrology. I like being in tune with where the planets are right now in relation to my own natal chart. I enjoy understanding parts of myself in a way that is written down on paper and is there for me to read. It's really cool. And to a certain extent, I am more inclined to be deeply committed to gene keys and human design as an offset of astrology. So there's an element of astrology in human design and the gene keys, in that you need to know your time and your date of birth and the place of your birth, so that your charts can be created according to your astrological natal chart. So all of these things fit together, and they're all a really beautiful support system for us as humans to research and enjoy understanding. And they can give you some really beautiful insights into how you function. In fact, understanding my human design, which is where I started with all of this astrology work, which is not, human design isn't astrology, but I'm associating them together. It gave me a lot of permission to live my life in alignment with who I actually am, without the shoulds and the musts and the have tos. So it's given me a lot of freedom. And I have a lot of really beautiful friends in that industry whom I can refer you to for a reading if that's something that you choose. And I'll add the details to their booking sites in the, however you're watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it below, but I'll also add it in the email as well, so that you can book with them if you want. And then again, from there is the gene keys, which is just, my gosh, it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. So I believe there's a lot of influence that it has on us, but I cannot speak to it in a scientific and or a professional way because it's not my area of expertise. 3 people that come to the top of my mind first up is Chani Nicholas. She has an app. It's a really cool app. It's called Chani. I don't know if you can see that. There's the app. Oh, signed me out. Anyway, it brings up your astrological natal chart and where the planets are each day and what you can be focusing on each day and each week. She has a report specifically about what's happening in the cosmos. So that's the first one. Natalia Benson is also a really great astrologer that I am enjoying learning from. And Danny Beinstein, just beautiful work from those 3 women, which have taught me a lot about astrology. When it comes to human design, the 3 people that I would recommend are Brittany Eastman, Lacey Paganstjan. I don't know how to say your name, darling, your surname. You need to teach me that. Lacey P. and Nicola Cloherty. I think that's how you pronounce her name. 3 beautiful human design experts. And the gene keys, I'm just learning on my own from the Gene Keys website. So I follow the Gene Keys Instagram handle, which is Gene Keys. That's it. And I'm learning a lot through that. You can follow the link that's in the profile and go from there. So that's a lot of information for that one question, because I want to empower you with as much information as I have to learn what I'm learning. It'd be really great to hook up and learn a little bit more about that together, because I'm so fascinated by it. And yeah, let me know how you go with that. Let me know how you go with all of those resources. And that, my friends, are the 2 questions that came through. Wasn't many questions, but they were loaded questions, which took us all the way into 23 minutes. So thank you so much for those questions, you 2 ladies. Oh my gosh, such beautiful questions. And I'm looking forward to next week, same time, same place. Submit your questions via the form that I've included in this email. And if there's anything in between now and next week, let me know. All right, my friends. Have a beautiful week. Bye for now.